Okay, everyone alright? Not too warm? No? So, we are carrying on. Oh, very loud. That's okay? That's okay, it's alright. We're carrying on our series looking at this, so our soul, spirit and body. We've been looking through the emotions from inside out. I say emotions really well, shouldn't I? Emotions. So, first of all, I thought we would look at fear. We're doing that today. But I've put some phobias up there and see if you can guess what the phobia is of from their name. So this one we should know. Arachnophobia. Spiders, yeah. What about this one? Acrophobia. How do you say? Not the outside. This one is heights. Yeah, so acro. Ophidiophobia?
No way, you could say that.
Ophidiophobia. This one is snakes. I know. Claustrophobia. Small spaces, yeah. And then the last one, astrophobia.
Going into big spaces? Wide open spaces?
Thunder and lightning.
I thought you were something to do with the sky, maybe an astro.
I had somebody come up to the cake shed a few weeks ago, and it was like stormy, and it started thundering, and they were petrified. I'd never seen something like that. I didn't know it was a.
No.
I didn't know it was a phobia. So yes, we're looking at fear. So if we go back to this wheel, we might think of fear as just those sort of surface level things we talked about just there. So your spiders, your snakes, maybe your heights. Those are things that come to mind, and those are things maybe in our body in a sense. So they're physiological things that we can see, things that we experience. And then soul is psychological, so that's going to be our thoughts, so fears in our brain. So things like, I'm not good enough, or I can't do that because of this. And then the spirit is obviously about spiritual fears. So some of our spiritual fears might be that, I can never have peace, my life is too crazy, I'm not going to have real peace with God. Those are some things. So there's a whole range in the body, soul and spirit of different types of fears that we might have. So I don't know about you, but when I feel a bit fearful, I feel like doing this. I bury my head in the sand. So you don't want to face it, you want to hide instead. So you bury your head in the sand. And sometimes when things are going wrong, or we're not sure what's going to happen, we kind of make up endings to stories. Do you know if you do this? I catch myself doing it all the time. So this is this quote. I make up fake endings to stories I tell about my life to make them more interesting. Some people do that, don't they? But if we've got situations in our lives, we sometimes substitute fiction for the facts. We put in things that we're not, because we're a bit scared about what might happen. We make up stories to fill that space, and this is usually due to fear. No wonder we've got drawers full of batteries, socks in our houses, or what if something goes off, we want to have a battery, or we've got matches in case we have a power cut so we can light a candle. We're always thinking of what if. So, an example of this is if you get a flat tire. You go to work in the morning, you get a flat tire. Or you start thinking, right, I'm going to be late for work, and then what's going to happen? Oh, I'm going to lose my job because I was late for work. And then if I lose my job, I've got no money. And if I've got no money, I can't pay the bills. If I can't pay the bills, then I'm going to end up homeless. And then I might fall into addiction because I've got nobody around me to look after me. Stop. It's just a flat tire. Just a flat tire. We spin some of our situations into fear. Why do we do this? Why do we spin it into fear and not into faith? Because God's for us, not against us. So maybe the flat tire is going to prevent us from an accident. we spin it in faith like that, maybe that friendship that we love that's fizzled out, maybe it wasn't the best for us. Maybe you didn't get that job because there's something better around the corner. Perhaps you missed that opportunity, but there'll be a better one down the line. Why do we always go to the negative? We fear the worst. Oh, I do. Does anyone else fear the worst? So let's spin things in faith, not in fear, because we can't always choose our situation, but we can choose our story in the situation. So when we heard, I heard about fear was going to be the topic, I thought of this song that is out from Maverick City at the moment. The tag in the song says, "Fear is not my future, you are. Sickness is not my story, you are. Heartbreak is not my home, you are. And death is not the end, you are." So we need to spin things to look at Jesus, to have faith that he has it under control. And when we don't, fear tolerated. So when we tolerate fears, it's faith contaminated. So when we let fear take over, it contaminates our faith. It gets in amongst it. We stop believing, we stop thinking of God first, and we start fearing. So I've done a little side-by-side of some things that I found. It's quite small. Sorry about that. But when we fear, we believe our circumstances are bigger than God. When we have faith, we trust God fully. We think he has over everything. He has control. Fear equips us to fail, but faith equips us to succeed. It makes us succeed. Fear is a magnet which draws us into more fear. We feel a bit scared about it, we think about it more, and we think about it more, and that fear becomes bigger in our lives. But faith draws us to God, not to our fears. Fear is activated by our speech, and faith is activated by our speech. So our words, what we say about ourselves, what we say about ourselves to others, oh, I'm not very good at that, or I can't do that, I'm too scared, that has control over us. So if we talk with faith instead of fear, we can change how we are. Fear is fueled by our negative emotions. So if we're a bit jealous of someone else, we feel we'll never have that. If we're a bit insecure, we don't think we're good enough. Greed, envy, anger, despair, these all fuel those feelings of fear in our lives. But faith is filled when we receive unconditional love. That's all. We've received it. We've got faith. We don't have to fear because Jesus has done it all for us. Fear keeps us stuck in bondage with the bad stuff. Our addictions, our strongholds, those things we can't get rid of. Fear has us gripped to them. But faith sets us free from bondage, guilt and condemnation. It lets those arms wide open. Fear is believing God's promises aren't true. But faith in God means we believe God's promises are yes and amen. They lead us to salvation, victory and hope. And then the last one, fear is a selfish expression to persevere and protect. So we say, oh, I'm not going to do that in case I hurt myself. That's usually the thing with heights, or you don't want to go in a closed space because you think all the balls are going to come in. We are protecting ourselves. But faith in God gives us courage to step out in confidence. And stepping out in confidence can sometimes feel like this. It's a bit, you feel like you're on the wire because that's so comfortable there because you're stuck in it. Well, it's not comfortable completely because you're in fear. You're surrounded by it. But it feels comfortable to feel like that sometimes. Oh, I won't do that because of this might happen. But when we step out, we come out of fear. It's hard, but look how much easier his path is than being swept up. So there's one thing in the Bible that says that we should fear, and that's God. Now this has always been a bit confusing to me. You know, do not fear, don't fear anything, and then it says fear the Lord. But I saw this quote and it says, "To fear God is to love him so that his frown would be your greatest dread and his smile would be your greatest delight." To fear God is to love him so that his frown would be your greatest dread and his smile would be your greatest delight. So if we just focus on one fear, to fear God, that changes everything. It gets rid of all other fear. This guy, Oswald Chambers, says this: the remarkable thing about God is that when you fear God, you fear nothing else. Whereas if you don't fear God, you fear everything else. So when we just focus on God, about pleasing him, about getting rid of sin from our lives and following him, we don't think about all the other fears. We're focused on Jesus. Don't be afraid, just believe. That's what it says in Mark 5. Don't be afraid, just believe. So I'm just going to look at a few characters from the Bible now and their journey in fear. So you'll know all the stories. It's good to be reminded. First one, Moses. Gosh, he did so much, didn't he? Like his life was super full and it must have been stressful. But he faced his insecurities and fears. He had a speech impediment and he was told to go and speak to the king. Oh, that must have scared him to death. But he was motivated by God's vision to save the people. He became brave in the process of doing what he feared. So he stepped out in faith and did it anyway. Then we've got David, the shepherd boy, who was told he couldn't fight Goliath because he was too small, he had no experience, but he had confidence in God. He believed he'd protect him again. It's really funny the bit just before. David says, very nonchalantly, "Oh, well, you just saved me from a lion and a bear, so I can fight Goliath, no problem. Just I'll get some stones." And they give him all this armour, and he's like, "No, that doesn't fit nice. I'll just go as I am." He's got that God confidence. And then his act of faith influenced a whole army to join him. But everyone said he couldn't do it. Then we've got Esther. She risked her life to save the Jewish people, and she was motivated by God's plan to save them. But it was scary. She had to speak up to the king, the authority figure of the time. She had to put herself out there. She had to speak when she shouldn't have spoken. And what did it say that she did? She prayed and fasted to put her faith and trust in God. She knew it was right, but it was scary. So she prayed and fasted and put her trust in God. Daniel, I love this picture. It's like, yeah, he's just in the middle of the lions. But Daniel never gave up praying to God only. And he prayed constantly, which was against what was told at the time. The law was you had to pray at certain times. But he prayed constantly. He chose the gratitude of God over the fear of people. He wasn't afraid of the people around him that he would bow down to them. He only feared the Lord. And in a similar way, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're so bold, they say, "Put us in the fire and God will save us. And even if he doesn't, we're not going to bow down to you." And because of their faith, they say, "Oh, we'll put it 7 times hotter then." And you think, "Oh, I've put my foot in it now." But they go beyond their fear into faith. They stand up to it forever. We've got Moses. His insecurities are holding him back, but he understood the vision and chased after God. So what can we do like that? We can chase after God. We can see his vision. We can look to his word and see what he wants to do around us. Not be scared, but get in with what God is doing. David, He was told he wasn't good enough, but he looked at the testimony of what God had done so that he wasn't scared and he didn't let people put him down. Esther stood up to authority. How can we be doing that? How can we stand up to the authorities around us, the government and people like that, and say what they're doing is wrong? But she prayed and fasted. So maybe if you've got that in your heart, you want to pray and fast for God to help you and not to be fearful. And then Daniel and Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego were all pressured to go off course. They were all told to do something they didn't want to do that stood against what they believed. And what did they do? They prayed constantly and stood in boldness. They said, put me in there, because they believed. God says some of these things. Though in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Not just conquerors, more than conquerors. Do not be afraid, I am with you. I am your God. Let nothing terrify you. I will make you strong and help you. I will protect you and save you. He's not just saying don't be afraid. He's saying I'll be with you. I will make you strong. I will help you. I'll protect you and I'll save you. He's not just leaving us to it. He's saying I'm with you through it. I'm with you through the fire. And the last one, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. That comfort of God, we have it. I was just praying as we were singing. I had a picture of a duvet around. And that's what it does. It wraps us in a duvet. We are comforted, we are protected, that He has us. So I'm just going to pray, and then we're going to listen to that song that I spoke about earlier. And you can stand and sing, or you can just sit and listen to the words. And I'll put it on the WhatsApp for everybody else. That we would just be able to stand in that fear isn't our future. That we don't have to walk forward being scared. But our future is in God. But sickness is not our story, whatever we're going through, what illnesses we've got going on. That's our situation, but it doesn't have to be our story. Our story in it can be, look at how peaceful that person is even though they're going through all of this. Look at how they're intercessing. Heartbreak's not our home. If you're feeling heartbroken, that's not your home. God is your home. And death is not the end, you are. So we don't have to fear where we go if we believe. So Lord, I thank you that you are with us in the fire, that you are with us when we face our giants, that you're with us when we go to authority figures, or even when we talk to our own fears in our lives, that you are there, that you are our future, that we don't have to fear, we don't have to be scared as we walk forward in life, that you are there. That whatever we're going through, that you will help us, that you will protect us, even in the darkest of valleys. You are there, you will comfort us, you'll wrap us in that duvet, you'll love us so much, you'll treat us so well, Lord. And even though things might be hard, we might be in that heartbreak, we might be in that sickness, we might be fearful all the time, but you are there, you are our God. We can look to you in